Rob, we've said it's the story that won't go away. And I think it'll die down eventually before Ben Simmons gets traded. But for now, it's big news. And here, let me paint the picture for people. Because we all know that after the Eastern Conference second round playoffs, when Philadelphia was stunned, upset by the Atlanta Hawks, in large part because Ben Simmons just froze. He was afraid to shoot. That's just what it was. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He was afraid to shoot even a layup.
There's nothing else. What did he have? 4 shots in the fourth quarter in the last 3 games?
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And obviously he was terrible from the foul line, shot 34% for the entire playoffs last year. So anyway, afterwards, we know Doc Rivers wondered aloud, I'm not sure if we can win a championship with him. And Joel Embiid said the turning point of the game, Game 6, when they lost it, was when Ben Simmons, who's 6'10", turned down a layup or dunk
at the basket,
pass it at the basket to pass to a teammate who was fouled, and they went and made 1 of 2 free throws, I believe. So anyway, Ben Simmons then, knowing that Philadelphia was going to look to trade him, he beat him to the punch and demanded a trade. And he is just hunkered down on that, and to the point where he won't go to training camp. He's saying he will play for any team in the NBA, Sacramento, Minnesota, you name it. Whatever cellar dweller there is in the NBA, he'd rather be there than go play another moment for the Philadelphia 76ers. And then, now Ben Simmons, mind you, hadn't said any of this. But these are anonymous sources close to Ben Simmons who are putting his stories, we assume his viewpoint out. And now, a few days ago, Rob, a story came out that he was done with Joel Embiid. Like, he didn't want to play with Joel Embiid. He feels like they don't fit together, like their games aren't complementary, like Embiid, takes up spots in the post and clogs up the lane where Ben needs it wide open so he can drive into the basket. And, of course, he wants a team built around him. And Embiid, who's said all the right things publicly. Now, there have been reports that those two, that they chose Embiid over Simmons. Some would even tell you Embiid wanted Simmons traded.
I think we did this before,
I've been told that from people around the league, but
we talked about this before. I would take Embiid too. I said I would rather, because in an NBA where shooting is at a premium, you got to have people who can shoot.
And Embiid actually is a great low post, low mid-range shooter, great mid-range shooter, and obviously a low post scorer. Yeah, he's better than Simmons. That's just all there is to it. But Embiid publicly, Rob, has said he wants Ben back. He said Ben's a great player. He hopes he can, come back and they can make another run for a championship. He and basically the whole team, Rob, was ready to fly out to L.A. to try to convince Simmons to come back. And Simmons said, nah, don't even do it. My mind is made up. And so it appears, Rob, that Embiid's had enough. And today he unleashed and unloaded. And here's what he said.
Our teams have always been built around his needs. So it was kind of surprising to see, what was said that, the reason we signed out is, we got rid of Jimmy, which I still think it was a mistake, just to make sure that he needed the ball in his hands, and, that's a decision they made. Like I said, it is surprising. The situation is weird, disappointing, borderline kind of disrespectful to all the guys that are out here.
Rob, and I'm going to let you go ahead and attack it first. I'll just say this. I detect no lies.
I didn't hear any lies either. And, I think Ben Simmons has it twisted. I think that Embiid is right, that they did certain things, Chris, to make him feel comfortable in his circumstance. And, Jimmy Butler was on the team. Chris,
Butler's better than Simmons. Butler's better than
Jimmy
Simmons.
Butler was on this team.
Yeah, I would rather have Jimmy Butler than Ben Simmons.
Absolutely.
That was a mistake.
That was a mistake. And I think this whole notion that the team should be built around him and whatnot. But let me just and that they don't fit. Okay, they don't fit. Let me see, Chris. They were the number 1 seed in the East. They beat the Brooklyn Nets in the regular season.
They win almost 70% of their games together, Rob.
It doesn't fit. It might not have worked out in the postseason, but don't act like you weren't the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference with the Brooklyn Nets and the Milwaukee Bucks in your conference.
Right.
Yes, you were. It was working. It was. Until you got to Atlanta, right, and played that series. Come on.
Yep.
There's no way Atlanta should have beat that team, Philadelphia. Even with Doc Rivers.
No way.
No
Absolutely
way.
no.
Yes.
They got Trae Young, Rob.
And Trae Young was
hurt.
hurt.
Of nondescript players.
Right.
Right. And Trae had his injury issues too. Right. So
you can't lose that, Chris. I'm not buying it. And I think he has a high. I get it. Drafted really high. People have been kissing your butt your whole, all the way up through the ranks.
Right.
Basketball career. I get all that. You're living this Hollywood life. You make $1 gazillion. You got all the fly honeys and all that. I get all of that and the lifestyle. But my goodness, like if you could give an ounce, like 2 ounces, and try to figure it out, it's a small window. And you're right, Chris. You better be careful what you wish for.
Man.
Going to an NBA Siberia team where
Rob,
you're lost in the shuffle and people forget about you.
If he's traded out west to a so-so team, Sacramento, Minnesota, those are teams that have been named in trade talks with the Sixers, then he's going to disappear. And I like Ben Simmons, but unless he's way better than I think, he's going to disappear. Because you're not going to make all-star teams out there. The West is stacked. And then if you go to one of those bad teams, it is hard to make the playoffs in the West. Now, I get it. Now the East is very top-heavy. Brooklyn and Milwaukee and, Philly, if they're healthy, Miami's good. But the East still doesn't have the depth that the West has. And so if you go out West and you're on a bad team and you're not making all-star teams and you're not on national television, you're not really in the conversation anymore, you'll be in basketball Siberia. But beyond that, Rob, look, I got to be honest. I think Embiid is right. And if I was in that situation, I would just throw my hands up and be like, look, enough. I mean, here's the thing, and I've said it before, Rob, but it's worth saying again. Ben is acting like, I don't think you can act like this when you didn't deliver. It's not like you balled out and Doc Rivers or Joel Embiid or some other teammate just spoke out of turn and was critical of you and blamed the series or the game on you, and you got busy. You didn't play well at all. We can run off defensive numbers and analytics, and we can run off, how many assists and all that you had. You didn't play well. Period.
And, Chris, you just said it. Let me tell you. It wasn't like the first sign of trouble that these guys threw him overboard and were ripping him. Doc Rivers, Chris, we heard the press conferences, game after game, defending Ben Simmons.
It was darn near embarrassing for Doc Rivers.
Right.
Rob.
After a while, it was like, okay, Doc, really? And then finally, after they get up the heartbreaking loss and what happened, he finally came then when was asked, could he win with them, and said, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Right. Emotional after a game.
Right.
And to be honest, he was absolutely true.
He doesn't know. I don't
was
think
absolutely true.
It wasn't
right.
like he said, absolutely, there's no way in God's earth could I ever win anything with Ben Simmons. That's not what he said, Chris.
Right.
I don't know. If he plays like this and doesn't give us any shots in the fourth quarter, I don't think we win any game.
Right.
How?
Yeah, I just feel like Ben is, again, not looking in the mirror. He's playing this victim card like, woe is me. They've done me wrong. And sure, Philly's made some mistakes. Maybe things were said. Maybe strategies weren't the best or what. Yeah, that's true. But the biggest blame for Ben Simmons' demise on the court, if you will, is Ben Simmons.
Yep.
Period. And I don't blame Joel Embiid. I would look, Rob. I'm gonna say that if I was Philadelphia, and there are those that are saying it will be worse for them if they don't pay Ben Simmons. Like if you don't pay him, then you really lower his trade value. If I'm running the Philadelphia, I believe in being a man. I believe in adulthood. All right, and I would be like, look, I get it. We're not going to get his money off the cap until we trade him. Okay. But this is what I would do if I'm the Philadelphia Sixers. Just out of sheer, like, look, we're big boys now.
Right.
All right, we're not playing childish games anymore. Ben Simmons don't come back. Just sit there in L.A. or wherever you want. Go on vacation. Go to Australia, wherever you want to go. We're not paying you a dime, and we'll let you know when we come up with a trade. And by the way, we won't trade you until we get a good trade.
Exactly. No matter what. Right.
Right. I don't care if you guys sit out the next 2 years. All right, we will not trade you until we get a good trade. And yes, the money's going to sit on our cap. I'm going to be honest. If I was the owner, that's what I'd say.
I told you, Chris.
Because I'm about being a man. This is ridiculous.
I felt the same way. Like, I'm not going to give in to this guy. We made a commitment, a financial commitment to him. They gave him the money, Chris, right? And what did he do to him? I mean, really, like, this isn't right. Like, he didn't play well.
Right.
They're not just talking bad about you because they don't like your personality or got something against you. You didn't perform. You can't be that big of a baby. You perform. You go to work in front of 20,000 people every night. Chris, how many people go to work in front of 20,000 people every night?
Yep. It's just, I'm sorry. I don't get it. I don't get it.